I'm Trey Casimir. I'm running for County Commissioner in Union County. I'm from Lewisburg, and I appreciate your vote.
So, crystal ball.
Yes, sir.
Looking into it. It's January 6th, 2020.
Mm-hmm.
You've been sworn into office. What's the first major issue, major in your mind, something beyond the routine, that you'd like the board to address?
Well, that's a tough one. I guess my first order of business is going to be to go around and introduce myself to all of the employees in the county, find out what they do, and how they do it. We're lucky in Union County. A lot of stuff goes pretty well there. And so before coming in and throwing my weight around, I want to try to understand how things are working. My main concerns are long-term kind of planning things, especially regarding the environment and climate change. I'm afraid we're going to start having more wildfires with high winds. I'm afraid we might start having droughts. And these would be new weather patterns that local government will be in a position to address. So I don't have some big marquee first day agenda. I'm looking to get in there in the long term and protect what we've got.
And well, when you're talking about long term, it starts with planning, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and that's something you can take on from the first day.
Yes, sir.
So when you discuss something extreme like droughts
Mm-hmm.
or wildfires,
Mm-hmm.
do you have something in mind for one of those two specific things? Something in mind the county can do?
Yes, sir. So I've been involved in emergency services through my service on the William Cameron McCAC board a few years ago, and got a real appreciation for the people who provide emergency services. I know the county has excellent people, but I also know that it's a chronically understaffed, underfunded department. So I would want to talk to those people and find out what they need, what their wish lists are. We also have an excellent county planner in Sean McLaughlin. He's got a long history, a lot of successes under his belt. I'm sure he's got some ideas, and I would want to sit and talk to him. So those would be the two starting places.
In the months since your victory in the primary election, has your experience campaigning out in the public brought to light any new issues or concerns that maybe you hadn't given consideration to?
No, I've been surprised to tell the truth. I've been carrying around this big black book, which is my county commissioner wish list, first day action item, and I've gotten shockingly few suggestions from people. I've asked Lewisburg and Mifflinburg Borough Councils, I've asked individuals, and mostly my attitude seems to be the prevailing attitude that, like, things are going pretty well, don't screw it up. So that's fine with me to take a conservative kind of wait and see approach, but also start to solidify some of these relationships and start to think about some of these long-term issues so that we're ready when they arrive.
So there's some movement at Great Stream Commons. Of course, that's the industrial park in
Right.
township. That interest is in privately owned property.
Mm-hmm.
Publicly owned land is still being marketed by a new commercial realtor. Taxpayers are on the hook for about $7.8 million remaining
Right.
of the $12 million that was taken out to purchase that property
Right.
20 years ago. Do you believe the commissioners have done due diligence in attempting to sell that land and have it developed? And what actions would you consider taking if elected?
I do think they've done due diligence. I think this is a situation that's hard to explain in a soundbite. It's easy to pile on elected officials, but you have to remember this property was bought in the first place as part of the whole deal that kept a toxic burner from being installed there. So at that point, it was the determination that this was a good use of county liability, and so we went in this way. It so happens I know the first director of the industrial development group very well, and picked his brain a little bit. At the beginning, there were very ambitious plans to create, something for the community there. There were different interests involved. That fell apart. Since then, it's been a little bit more piecemeal. I'm hopeful that we can get back to the original vision, either to create some sort of planned community development industrial park site type thing that may include especially healthcare or education, or that we're able to get some big deal. My dream would be to tie this together with our need for broadband wireless or broadband internet access for the county. If we can work with the federal government, as this area has done in the past, in less congenial ways, we might be able to get a tenant that will pay good money to be on that site and provide a service to our constituents, and that would be a dream come true.
The current Board of Commissioners is on pace to hire a new chief clerk before the end of the new year, and before the next board is sworn into office. At least two of the commissioners won't be around to work with the new clerk for any substantial amount of time. Now, I understand that yourself and your opponents have been pretty proactive in attending commissioner meetings, especially the work groups. Are you comfortable with the present board taking this action, or do you believe the decision should have been handed off to the incoming board?
No, I'm entirely comfortable with it. I think that the two Johns and Preston are responsible stewards of the public trust. I do think that the next board, the biggest challenge they will face is breaking in a new county clerk. Dee Robinson was there for a long time. She had a ton of institutional knowledge, ton of history, and lots of relationships. Every time I called the county for anything, the person on the other end of the phone would say, "Let me talk to Dee and get back to you." So you don't just replace a person like that in a year. So whoever hires this person, there still is going to be an extensive kind of break-in process, and definitely whoever of us get elected will be handicapped by not having Dee's knowledge and sense available to them.
Union County moved to invest in bicycling and outdoor recreation as a potential way to strengthen the local tourism economy and, of course, improve quality of life for residents along the way. The county authority now operates the rail trail. The county, of course, owns the land. Do you support continued investment in trail development, potentially purchasing property and developing the abandoned bridge in the Lewisburg area? And how can a county resident who may not even own a bicycle themselves benefit from this type of investment?
Yes, this is right in my wheelhouse. You may not be aware of it, but I was the chairman of LARA when the current rail trail was being designed and built. I've been involved in that trail specifically and trails more generally since we moved back to Lewisburg in 2003. And survey after survey shows that trails are at the top of the list of recreational wants for Union County residents. They also, as witnessed by this unpaved event we had last weekend in Lewisburg, people are hungry for the beautiful nature that we've got with the established trails that we've got. If we can improve access a little bit, if we can direct them a little bit more to the trails we want them to go on and away from the more sensitive areas perhaps, I think it's a way that we can really capitalize on what we've got without creating a big disruption. It's only going to add to the local economy. It's not going to take away from anybody. We're not going to be competing with anybody in bringing more trails in. The bigger issue will be, over time, people they just till a little bit further each year, and then eventually that trail is kind of taken over by the neighboring property owner. And even though those are informal things, still possession's 9/10 of the law. And if we, for instance, wanted to continue the rail trail west beyond Mifflinburg, the right of way has been encroached upon in many places. That'd be a big issue. That's something that's going to take some deft negotiating. But if we had something that rivaled the Pine Creek Trail, and we're a little bit closer to Route 80, so easier for people from New York City to get here, that could be a terrific tourism boon to the neighborhood.